Welcome to the Black Guy, White Guy Show. I'm Anthony Walsh.
And I'm Brad Hollowell. Today we're going to talk about this election in the New York 26. Kathy Hochul got 48% of the vote.
Right.
Jane Corwin got 43, I believe.
Right.
And this Jack Davis guy got 9%.
He's a Tea Party candidate.
Right. Now let's just get into it, talk about why this happened.
I think that in any other year, any other given year, New York 26 would have definitely gone to the Republican Jane Corwin, but
I agree.
when you've got a budget that basically was created by Paul Ryan and jammed down the throat of the House, where Speaker Boehner forced the House to vote on it, it essentially kills Medicare as we know it and turns Medicare into a voucher program where seniors will have to go out and they'll get a voucher from the federal government and go out and find insurance, and in the hopes that there's going to be insurance companies that will sell them insurance in the first place. Give you a little history. In 1965, Medicare was created due to the fact that seniors couldn't get health insurance because typically they have more sickness, they have more illness. Nobody wanted to insure them, and I don't think that miraculously when people that are under 55 right now, which is the cutoff, are going to be able to buy health insurance at that time when historically they haven't been able to.
Yeah, and as far as the election's concerned, it was all about that. Kathy Hochul knew and advertised over and over and over again that Jane Corwin was for that plan. Now,
Right.
after the fallout happened and Hochul actually had a chance at winning this election according to the polls,
Right.
she changed her story
Right.
and basically said, well, I'm against it.
Right.
It did not help. It was too little too late, and Hochul kept rising in the polls.
Right. And she looked to be wishy-washy. Corwin did, as I was for it before I was against it. The famous line from presidential candidate Kerry. So I just think she looked wishy-washy. Kathy Hochul stayed on message. She was, basically told the voters the truth that the Paul Ryan budget plan was going to kill Medicare, and the Republicans keep talking about the fact that, well, it's not a fact. They keep talking about that if you're under 55, then this plan will affect you. If you're over 55, you have anything to worry about. But I think they thought that seniors were going to go, oh, well, I've got my Medicare, so screw the next generation, screw my kids, my grandkids, nieces and nephews. But they're not about that. They love Medicare. They like it. It works relatively well. And they want their children, their family members to have the same benefits that they get right now.
Right. And, just to kind of wind up and go right into just talking about Medicare here, the bottom line is that this district has a very large elderly population.
Absolutely.
Of very conservative Republicans, but when it came right down to it, they want to keep their Medicare just the way it is. This voucher program
Absolutely.
just stinks of moving the cost on to seniors.
Right.
It just stinks of it.
And essentially, it's a bait and switch, because what the Republicans want to do is turn Medicare into a voucher program and take the savings from that and give the richest 1% even more tax cuts.
Right. And that seems to be the only thing that they have as a solution right now is tax cuts. So we're just listening to something we're going to talk about in another episode, another segment, where Eric Cantor was talking about how he put together a jobs bill, but it's nothing but tax cuts.
Right.
And this is just another excuse, another way for Ryan to
Right.
pull some money out of the system and give it to rich people.
Right.
In the meantime, basically, the problem with his bill is, it's not that it's a voucher program. If he had a voucher program where they could go out and they were given some certain amount of money to buy insurance,
Right.
they might be able to pull it off if that insurance covered the average cost of insurance
Right.
as time went on. But the fact is that it's going to go up with the national inflation,
Exactly.
while healthcare inflation is going up much faster than that as the years go on, which means that every year that you have this voucher program, as a senior, as a person over 65, you are going to pay more and more and more and more and more. And as I can't remember the politician who was saying it, I think it was Anthony Weiner from New York, he was explaining about how what you'll end up with is people who are going to be very, very poor, paying for their health care, or you're going to have people who are going to get sick and die because they don't have, they're not going in and getting the services because they can't afford them. And that's basically what's going to happen, say, in a number of years here,
Right.
not too far in the future, if they were to get their way, which they're not.
Right. Well, they would have to make choices between healthcare and buying food to live on,
Right.
being able to pay their utilities, in the wintertime, so on and so forth. And prior to the creation of Medicare, the poverty rate for the elderly was at 50%. It's at 10% now. That's still too high, but I mean, it would have a catastrophic effect on the elderly and their ability to live, essentially.
Absolutely. Let me take that back. It was not Anthony Weiner. It was Steny Hoyer.
Okay.
He was speaking. I don't know what day it was last week, but I heard it on POTUS yesterday. And, no one would accuse Steny Hoyer of being a socialist or even a liberal. He's not a progressive.
Right.
He's a moderate.
Right.
And he is basically like, yes, we need to do some cuts, but no one's talking about the $500 million in cuts that come with the Affordable Health Care Act.
Well, actually, I think it was $500 billion.
$500 billion.
Right. And, the GOP tried to, they talk about the Democrats resorting to Medi-scare tactics, quote unquote. Well, the GOP was doing the same thing when the Affordable Care Act was coming out, scaring seniors, saying that the Democrats were trying to take away their Medicare. They were trying to, cut $500 billion out of it. Well, the cuts were going to come from money-saving measures like, not duplicating record keeping and those types of measures that weren't going to actually cut the meat out of Medicare.
Right. Computerizing the record system.
Right.
Finding ways to cut down on repetitive tests.
Exactly.
You go to your primary care person. They do a test to find out whether you need to see a specialist. That specialist does the same test because they don't have access to each other's records.
Right.
And if they did, we would have a system where people could look at the same test and it would cut down on cost.
Right. You wouldn't have this rampant overbilling and unnecessary tests because everybody would be literally on the same page.
Right. So I think that basically the Republicans, this is the point I was going to make, the Republicans have this selective deafness for the Congressional Budget Office.
Right.
The Congressional Budget Office says that this plan that Ryan put in his budget is going to cost seniors more over the years.
Right.
The Congressional Budget Office says that Obama's health care plan will save money over the years.
Exactly.
And they're ignoring it
will
completely.
create jobs. The GOP has a plan, some legislation to repeal the quote-unquote jobs-killing Obamacare bill or something to that effect. And it's a total misnomer because actually this plan will create jobs.
Right. And we could have a whole show about
Absolutely.
how Republicans come up with great one-liners that stick in the heads of people who are kind of paying attention and kind of not paying attention.
Right.
And
we will get to that at some point, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, thank you for watching the Black Guy White Guy show. We hope to see you soon.
This is Brad Hollowell.
And I'm Anthony Walsh.
Thank you.